All right, so we are on week 7, chapter 5, Undercover Economist. So this week was about healthcare. Hartford explains the problems with healthcare systems, describes some of these issues. Okay, so we talked about U.S. healthcare, and then it compared it to countries that have universal healthcare. So I'm a nutrition and dietetics student, so this chapter actually really was very relevant to me and brought up some points that I'm very familiar with. So in the U.S., there is no universal health care. We do have Medicaid and Medicare for people who are poor or old. So there is some incentive there to be well, I don't want to make too much money because if I make too much money, I don't have insurance, which is crazy. And then there's also a problem with your insurance being linked to your job. So if you lose your job, you lose your insurance. So you might not leave your job because of that. Or, if you were to get fired, then there's that. And also along with that, there's the problem with these companies, they have a standardized one size fits all, or they might have a couple options, but your options are very, very limited and it wastes a lot of money. I know for myself, I worked at Chick-fil-A. They offered a one-size-fits-all universal, not universal, a one-size-fits-all, insurance that didn't cover very much. And then where I work at Rivendell now, they have one. I have Medicaid, so that covers everything for me for now while I'm in school. So there's that. Countries with universal healthcare sounds like a great idea. It's wonderful. I think it is a human right to have healthcare, but the problem with having universal healthcare is that everybody has it, so everybody can go to the doctor. So the wait lines, the waits, are pretty intense. A lot of people will go to other countries to get help because the wait isn't as long. So there is that. Also, you don't really get as much choice in the U.S. You do have some choice as to what doctors you go to. Obviously, it depends on your insurance, but you really don't get that choice when you go in universal healthcare. So after learning more about different forms of healthcare, which did you find the most appealing? I thought it was really interesting. The I forget what it's called. The QALY is QUALY, something about that. Where they used the value. They had to compare the value of your life with things versus without. I thought that was really interesting and very subjective. But that is an option. Some other side things that I thought were really interesting. I did not realize that how deductibles work. So I haven't had insurance very long, with my car, because I haven't been an adult for very long. But I did not realize that the deductible that you have is based on how much of a risk you are. So if you choose a deductible that's how do they go? If you choose a deductible, if your deductible is very low, then there's more of a chance that I'm trying to remember if I'm thinking of this correctly. All I remember is that my deductible was $500 for my car, and that made me, I know that's on the lower end, but that made me more conscious of ooh, really shouldn't get in a wreck. So choosing what kind of deductible you have, how much influences that insurance company to be okay, we understand what kind of person you are and how risky you are. So that was something I found very interesting and actually very helpful to me.